Good afternoon and welcome to another in our series of Saturday Sports Special, where we get to talk to the movers and shakers of sports and also the past, not just the administrators, but sportsmen and sportswomen who have done well. They have established quite a lot over the years, and they are now part of the history of Grenada sporting landscape. And this afternoon, our guest on the program, this will be no other than Mr. Val Adams. We should be having him shortly. He's just having some little technical difficulties, and we have to understand that, we're not, those folks are not technically savvy these days, but he should be on soon. But we'll be talking to Val Adams. Actually, his correct name is Valentine Adams, also known as Val Adams. And you'll be interested to know how he has been called Val. And everyone just knew him as Val. In fact, there were those who saw the name Valentine and never knew who it actually was until recently, Folks, I think we have some good news. I think Val is with us now. So let me just, without wasting much time, let me go over and see if, I'm seeing him now, and I think he's just trying to get himself angled about. Right, I think he's getting himself angled about. Let me see if, are you there, Val? Good afternoon, are you there? Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm here. You hearing me? I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
Yes, I'm hearing you. Thank you. Right, thank you very much.
Wonderful.
And thank you for persevering and making the connection.
Thank you too for having me.
Okay then. So I don't want to continue talking because I've been talking for the past 20 minutes or more. So let me welcome you, Valentine, also known as Val Adams. Let me welcome you to the program. Okay, I think we still having a little connection problem, so I'm hoping that is ironed out as the program falls through. But again, welcome. And how are you doing, Val?
Hanging in there, man. Hanging in there. Hanging in.
Okay.
How about you?
Well, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine, and nice to see you. Looking great as usual, Val.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Okay. I'm really hoping that the folks will be able to hear you clearly as possible. We're still having some audio problem with you. There's some lagging. But let's see if we can, move ahead.
Right.
It seems that you're hearing me loud and clear, but I think I'm getting a bit of lagging with your audio. But let's start off, Val. How did you get involved in sports in Grenada back then, starting from a very early age?
Well, oh boy. From the time I entered McDonald College, I have to give them kudos. For first year college, McDonald College, and I got intrigued because I've always been an athlete, running, just casually running. I went in there, chance to do a couple of events there, but I was so experienced not there. But what finally happened? Moved to GBSS on the second year. When I got there, my other brothers encouraged me because they knew I had talent, and I started off there representing GBSS. Did a couple of heats, qualified, and continued.
Okay. I still
connection
think,
again.
yeah. Well, it's more on your end. I don't know. There's a little figure going on somewhere there, and we keep losing that connection. So if you can just let me know when you fully settled
Yeah.
so we can maintain that connection. Yeah, we want to maintain that connection so folks can hear all that you are saying.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Let me get closer to my main box.
Yeah, I think you may need to do that for now so that we will ensure that we do not lose too much of connection. I knew you wanted to stay as close as possible to that Grenada flag, but
Yeah, I know.
but if you can stay as close as possible to your connection, I
Yeah.
think it will be better so that the viewers can hear what you are saying clearly.
See and hear.
Right. That seems to be, hopefully that seems to be a little better from what I'm seeing there. So before I put it for our viewers, if you can probably turn I think the light is into your camera now. So if you can probably turn the other way around. I don't want your right.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a little better there now. So let's see if we can continue with the discussion. So you basically were saying, Val, that you basically were saying that the you started your early years at the McDonald College, right?
Yes,
And
sir. Yeah.
you want to give um, credit to McDonald College for that formative year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I enjoyed that first year, and I thought I was going to stay there, but all my brothers were in GBSS already. So, hey, the parents are the ones in charge.
Oh, so
Yeah.
it was a family decision to take you from McDonald College to GBSS.
Yeah, because all my brothers were there. So I had no qualms about it. I was
Mhm.
happy, and I didn't even know better. It didn't even make a difference.
Okay, so speaking to you, you spoke about being involved in football, not basketball, but track and field, and also
Yeah.
cricket within the school system. How
Yeah.
were you able to participate in all these sporting activities and still concentrate on your academics during that time with all these challenges going on during that time?
Sometimes people use the phrase that they're gifted and all of that. And maybe I was just gifted because I handled them very well. I did my studies. In fact, at GBSS, we had fortnightly, as we call it, fortnightly examinations. You get stars for the first, second, and third. And I never missed out on that, on being being on the podium. So I did my work. I did my school work, and I continued with the athletics and soccer. In fact, at McDonald College, kudos to that school again. Um, I made the under 19 team as a member of McDonald College, under 19 soccer team, that is. So moving over to GBSS, the moment I got there, I was voted captain of the GBSS soccer team.
Okay.
So starting to feel good and all of that, you know what I mean?
And just for those who tune in, when you say soccer, you refer to football, right?
Soccer, football.
Yeah, what we say as football. But Val, so you started at that young age, participating football, track and field, and
Yeah.
the cricket. But what drove you to stick with what you eventually excel in both track and field and football? Why not cricket?
Hmm. I played cricket on the school level, house competitions. I was a fast bowler, open bowler, and I did well. I was very good. I was confident in that too. But the athletics and soccer, especially soccer at that point, because remember I said that I came in there after making the Grenada on the 19 soccer team. We had a tour to Guyana. It was a quadrilateral tour, Grenada, Trinidad, Barbados, and Guyana. We came second in that tournament. In fact, I got a trophy there as most constructive player in that tournament. Um, so coming from that tournament straight into GBSS, I was very impressed that I was voted as captain of the soccer team, GBSS soccer team. So I stuck with that and continued to prevail, training hard and making the school feel proud. Now, in the athletics, on the athletic side, huh, you would want to hear that. I was traveling every day to Sotes to enter to go to GBSS. And when the heat started, my brother who stayed at the hostel, he told me, "Stay down, man, stay down, stay down." And they hid me in a room in the hostel when they went up for dinner and so on, because I had to go train in Queens Park. And they hid me there for the night. And especially when it's heat, well, under the bed, here I come. So I did my training, did my heats, qualified, and moved on. And that very first year at GBSS, I was the junior champion in athletics.
So
While
are you confessing that you hid in the hostel?
Well, I mean, I used to hang out there and take a little nap.
Okay, yeah. But Val, how what it was like competing in those days? You as a young athlete and footballer who started off at McDonald College, and for some reason or the other went down to the GBSS and for some reason had to compete against McDonald College. What it was like then in terms of the rivalry and well,
Well, I tell you, when you get on the track, it's a different story. You're not even thinking along those lines. It's competition. You're just thinking that, listen, I'm in this race or this field event. I got to win. I got to win. I know I train hard. I got to win. So I'm not looking at who was friend and comrades, most of my satires people and what have you. That was not in my minds or in my thoughts at all.
but at that time there was a rivalry, right? With
Well, of course.
mhm,
Yeah, of course, of course. Especially with them, I mean, because there were some good guys there who I did the eight, and there was a guy who was very good. We used to train in Sates together because in Sates on a moonlight night we would run about 5 miles, in the moonlight, like Sates to River Sally or to Shantimel and come back and so on, and was like a race. And people were looking on for when we could get back and so on. So that rivalry with this guy I'm talking about, he was a Gordon, Roy Gordon. He lives in Toronto now, and he was in my first 800 meters representing GBS as he was there. But I used my strategies, you know what I mean? I knew what I had in the belly.
mhm. Right. Okay, so well, I wonder if you remember this. Toro is saying that I'm sure Val still has his GBSS striped football T-shirt. Every
Absolutely. This
every student
t-shirt,
wanted to wear that
socks.
T-shirt.
I even have my shin pad that I first played with.
Uh,
I even have my shin pads and my boots. Well, not the first boots, because as time went on, you used to have the tugs, but then you went into the hard leather boots and so on. But oh yeah, I got my GBSS tie, my badge, logo, and everything. I got everything there. I got to frame them.
all right. Well, so we move on now to apart from the inter-house. Well, at that time, by the way, which house you were in at the GBSS?
Hughes house, that favorite green.
Okay, okay. I just have a little smirk because I'm not a huge fan, but
I see you smiling. Well, that's okay. That's we took Hughes house. We took them on no matter what color they were.
but outside of the inter-house championship representing GBSS, and then also you indicated that you started representing Grenada at a very early age as well, in
Yeah.
football as well as in track and field. Let's speak about that.
Well, I made the under 19 team as a member of McDonald College. We then went to GBSS and I made the team again. I made the team forever,
Well,
as long as I was there.
so you would have made that team probably at the age of what, 15 or something, sir?
Yes, I was 15 when I
Mhm.
made that team the first time as a member of McDonald College. So I went into GBSS at age 15 and some.
Okay, and yeah, that seems to be football. You talk about football slash
Yeah,
soccer.
soccer. So yeah,
Soccer.
soccer,
Yeah. So,
football.
but a lot has been said about you regarding track and field. So let's
I hope it's good.
well let's zoom in on the track and field. Your exploits in track and field. What are some of the events you excel in, and then that qualified you to represent Grenada at the Junior CARIFTA Games?
Well, in GBSS, I took part in every event, especially that first year. I took part in everything they had there, from cross country, which I would come in the top 10, and all the heats that I entered, which is also about every event, I qualified in them. Even pole vault, I represented GBSS in pole vault in intercall. Every event, high jump, you remember which were the events? My main events were the 800 meters, the mile, the long jump, high jump, and but I also did the 400 meters and made points for the house. Every event I entered, I made points for the house by
Okay.
placing.
Mhm. But, but in those days, Val, I mean, pole vault. You said pole vault.
Oh yeah,
How,
oh yeah.
where, and how you train for pole vault?
You just we didn't have the facilities in Grenada overall to train for that. So it was something that was experimental. And you know what about it? I was frightened because all I was thinking when going up on that pole is, what if that pole broke, man? I'm thinking if that pole broke at all, I could be stabbed. A piece could stick, that could be the end of me. So it used to be scary for me going up, especially going up and that pole bending. And I say, oh my God, let me kick while I'm in the air, kick to go over that bar. And so be it. I did that, and I won that very first year. But I got spiked on the way down on that same year, and I said, you know what? No, 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 no. I gave it up.
But in those days, Val, how were you able to? You guys were able to train for these events. You had coaches that were specialized for
Well,
these events that was seemed to
this.
be quote unquote non-traditional at the time.
Well, the thing is, we were. Ah, boy, I really want to elaborate on that part of this discussion because um, when we go to Queen's Park to train, be it PBC, GBSS, whoever else was there. You had other local sports clubs who were training at the same time. I love that so much growing up and training that, you know, it encouraged me more when I saw the unity that when we trained as one team. The guys from PBC mainly, we were comrades, and from other sporting clubs, you had Donald Pierre, and that's a guy I really want to mention that he was an idol to all of us because he was one that has taken us to higher heights and give us representation in most of the major athletic events in the Caribbean. And he also did well at the Commonwealth Games at one time. And I really thought that he should have been awarded something or give him his kudos sort of because that was our top athlete. We used to call him the horse because when he's running with you, you hear him coming, tuk, 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 tuk. That he was so powerful. And in the training sessions, he would tell us, let's hit the dabo. And we would hit the dabo about 4 times, then come back down and did the stretching, the exercises, and so forth before we hit the tracks and say, let's actually start running. Um, he was so instrumental to all of us. I mean, all the athletes in my time, the Lane brothers, the Lambert brothers, Francois, Evelyn Maitland, You had other guys from sporting clubs like Mello from River Road. You had Donald Pierre himself. You had, at that time, Oliver Lake was still in Grenada. We had a slew of, I would say, professional athletes, if I should use that term, uh, disregarding the fact that we didn't have professional, like, I don't want to use the word professional here, but even if we didn't have what I can see today as renowned professional coaches, because our coaches were guys like Dandarat, what's his name again? You helped me with one of the other names the other day. Um, Quite a few of them, and we respected them. Mr. Gibbs, the old police guy,
Mhm.
Gibbs, the policeman, he was very instrumental too, because we were so young, and they were happy to see that we're taking up the reins. And somebody just mentioned Goatee. Of course, Goatee used to do the jumps and so forth, and he was a guy. He was like the, how should I say that? He was like a solicitor to all of us. He would tell you, man, you could do that, man. You could do that. Come on, do about 10 more sit-ups, build a stomach. Oh gosh. I mean, it was a love among all of us. We trained together. One of the guys would hold on my legs while I do my sit-ups. Sometimes when you're doing sit-ups, to do it right, you got to keep the knees straight and so on. So, one guy would hold your knees down so that knee don't bend. Let the stomach get the pressure. And I mean, when we finish there, you so burnt out, but we keep going. We have another set of training to do, and we continue doing all the different segments of the training that were required. Not even knowing better, we just follow the advice of the elder ones, Donald Pierre and Dandarat and these other folks, and Mr. Gibbs and so on. So we respected them and listened to them, and we took it on very hard. We were very, very serious.
And it's interesting that you said that even though you folks were amateurs, you operated as professionals, except that you were not paid, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Correct wording.
Mhm. And you folks also got the job done.
We got the job done. We got the job done. Like I remember when we had Whitsuntide games and so on. Now that was Grenada, and we picked, and there were individual clubs that would compete in the Whitsuntide games and so on. But those of us who had been training all along together, even at the games, we representing Grenada, and we stuck together, we stayed together like that in that unity and excelled. It was like miracle.
Okay. And just to back up, I think when we spoke about the pole vault, Pat is saying that Albert,
Yeah,
your big
Albert was the
brother,
one. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
taught you the
Well,
pole vault.
he is the one who really got me into. He said, "Man, listen to me. You could run. You could beat all those guys there. Stay
Where's
them."
Albert now? Where's Albert?
Oh, he passed in 2018.
His soul rest in peace. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mhm.
He
But
passed in.
he mentored you into
Oh
those sort of.
yes. Oh, he was the main. He was the main instigator. He was the guy pushing me all along.
Mhm. All right. Gotti, I mentioned Gotti because I had a no, I had a
Goatee was a funny dude, man.
well,
Goatee was a good guy, though. I would like Goatee. I saw him just the last February, not yeah, this February, when we had the Grenada, the parish against parishes competition at the Holy Cross School auditorium.
okay,
He was
right,
there. I was impressed to see him there.
yeah,
And he
yeah.
looks well, and same Goatee, man. Come, hey, Valentine. We went to Barbados that same time, the time with the CARIFTA Games, and he was on
72,
the team working with Dandarat and so on. He took the
right.
trip.
I think that was the
And
name.
we yeah, and he
Yeah.
still teased me by we were looking for somewhere to go and so on, not knowing the place. We're close to the police barracks where we were living, and we were walking down the street, and I went and asked a guy who was looking out the window, flat houses, so the windows is right on the street kind of, and in Bridgetown in the harbor there by the police barracks and the savannah and all of that right close by. And I asked the gentleman in the window, I said, what's happening? Where can we find a place that, we just came as athletes from Grenada and we're just walking around to know where, where we can go and see things, have fun and whatever. So the guy was cooking up some Robinson George Goatee is listening. um um so we all were walking down and I spoke to the guy. I said, where can we go to entertain ourselves? Because we were never entertained, didn't mean it's just a line. We take a walk. Like when we come from training in Queens Park, we would walk the whole rounds. Some guys could have gone up, look a street up there, like Lane and so on, but most times all the guys would walk all the way to Tantine, like to see me home, and then take the lane and go up the lane and continue on and so on. So we hang out like that in Barbados. And I asked the guy what's going on. He say, "Hey man, Valentine, come in, man, come in." He was doing some. I guess they like a lot of pork there, so he was roasting some pork, and he was just finished. So he said, "Come in, man, come in, come in and check the break." I wish Gotti could come on and say something on that, but it was funny. So from then, Gotti and a few others continue to call. Anytime they see me, they don't call me Val. They say, "Valentine, come in, man, come in and check your brakes." Because checking your brakes was a commercial, I think, in Barbados at that time, telling people to listen, make sure your brakes and thing was a commercial maybe for fixing your brakes, like how you have Meineke and so on. So that was a big commercial. You hear it every minute of the day in Barbados. So I don't know if that's the reason why the guy said that, but he said, "Valentine, come in and check your brake." I still have that name now.
All right, Valentine. So you we have to go over to Barbados in a while to talk about the 72. But um I recall at the GBSS and up to the time when I left the GBSS um in the mid 80s. um your name was still
Oh,
on the
you look younger than me. I want to know what
your name was still on the it's still in the auditorium in
Oh
terms
yeah,
of Victor Lodurum. I think you had the distinguished
yeah,
pleasure of being Victor Lodurum for three. You were one of only two, I think, two athletes who would
yeah,
have been Victor Lodurum for 3 years in a row. Was it 3 years?
yes,
Yeah, 3 years.
yeah. Well,
Um,
they would record it. I don't recall if it was three in a row,
yeah, I try to remember, but at least you
but
three times, three times.
it's recorded. All Victor Laderams were recorded on that mahogany plaque in
Flack,
the
yeah,
lobby of the auditorium, and I'm one of only two people whose name would appear there three times.
yeah. And that would have been for your accomplishments in terms of track and field because
That
it was
that would have
distance
been
running. Yeah.
that would have been the results of beating those guys, man. I
Uh,
wasn't easy, Hey, Mike, I wasn't easy, man. I took this thing to heart, and when I'm on that track, forget about it. Forget
mhm,
about
mhm. All right. So then you were selected to represent Grenada. You are one of many, and I think Goti corrected me earlier. No, well, not corrected me, but he clarified because I wanted to know about in 72, and he said they were both boys and girls who
it. Yes,
participated in the
yes.
CARIFTA Games. You were one of those boys representing Grenada. How was the experience like being selected to represent Grenada at the inaugural um, CARIFTA Games in Barbados? Among at that time, it has to be an accomplishment, being able to represent. Except that you didn't have there wasn't a national flag.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
looking at it. There wasn't a national flag. Because that was prior to independence, But the
Yes.
representation of Grenada at that time, how was it?
Well, I felt proud. I mean, really proud, and confident because I mean, I'm speaking for me and the other guys too. We were confident. We knew how hard we trained, and in my situation, being that I've won the Victor de Durham already, and uh, being selected on the team, just being proud of that gave me more enthusiasm to go out there and burn myself out, give it everything. On the first night of the sports of the event, um, we didn't get any medals on that first night. I remember that precisely. Um, on the second night is when I jumped, and I I came second in the a third in the high jump. I looked for my medal this morning. I think I told you that, and I found it. I
Yeah.
cherish that medal because it's the first international medal that I've gotten, and oh, I felt so good, and especially that none of us had won anything yet. We came out first night with zero, and to win that first medal, I say, wow, at least not just for me, but I mean, of course for me, but not for me alone. I felt good for the team that at least we're going to go back home with a medal. So I was very proud of that.
Except that you were not the only one.
No, I was not the only one. Eros Rapier, I think, threw on that same night javelin,
Mhm.
and he won that javelin event, and he also won the shot put.
Okay. Yeah, I have some. Let me see there. Right there, we have it there. So actually, Eros won the javelin. He also got a silver medal in the shot put.
Silver. Okay, yeah,
Right.
silver.
Val got the bronze in the
High jump.
high jump. The Joseph Cummins, that's Joe Cummins, got a bronze in the javelin throw. So it
Yes, he
actually,
was good. Yeah, I
right. So
forgot about him.
actually, Grenada got a gold and a bronze in the javelin, and then they
Yeah,
picked up bronze in both the 4x1 and the 4x4, as you see it there on
absolutely
the screen.
correct.
The
Correct.
Ken Francois, Raymond and Roy Lane, and Russell Lambert in the 4x1, and then in
Yeah,
the 4x4, Ken Francois, the late Evelyn Maitland, may soul rest in peace, Raymond Lane and Roy Lane in the 4x4. So that was
right.
the one goal, one silver, and four bronze medals that picked up that Grenada picked up in 1972. A total of six medals. Sorry, six medals. As Goti indicated, Grenada had girls, but unfortunately they didn't pick up any medals. But it would be nice to, I don't know if you can recall, but it would be nice to know who were the girls who represented Grenada in 1972.
Oh wow, that's a tough one. Maybe Esther Williams from high school. I don't know. Goti seemed to be abreast. He stayed up, abreast with these statistics.
Mhm.
But I think we might have had because she was one of the top athletes in our time.
All
Esther
right.
Williams. Then you had a girl from SAS, I think Pearl Pierre. Jenny Boca came a little afterwards. I think
Yeah,
she
Jenny was in
represented
73.
right. So I don't remember. I don't remember the ladies on the team.
Okay, but Goti indicated that the most striking experience was competing on a synthetic track for the first time.
Exactly.
What was the experience for you?
Guys tumbled in their spikes and thing, man. Guys were going down.
What's about you? What's about you?
Well, I fitted in. I wasn't on the synthetic tough because it's high jump and long jump. The long jump had a strip there. Yeah, that wasn't so bad because with once long jump for the long jump, you got to lift your knees very high to get that push, and it didn't affect me. It didn't affect me, and in fact, most of the guys handled it very well.
Mhm. Um, there's a little banter going on there. Albert was the biggest mentor to Val and the younger athletes, and he talked a whole lot more than anyone you encountered.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, but at the same time, Kennedy Twit Phillip is saying no one talks more than Val's.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
That's not true.
Then
He hasn't met Albert in real.
okay. Well
You see,
then.
hey, Twit, Pat has been there. Albert is a machine. God bless his soul, man. That was a good guy. That guy called. He's the one responsible for pushing me and getting me started in athletics and soccer from the moment I entered GBSS. I have to, I will never forget that till the day I die.
Mhm. So Val, so you went to Barbados in 1972, representing Grenada at the
You say that
Caribbean.
as a Bajan. You went to Barbados.
72 represented Grenada CARIFTA Games. So what happened between 72 and probably the next year or two? What took place in terms of track and field for you?
Well, remember now that I left GVSS after 3 years, and in fact 4 years, and I remained a member of the under 19 team, and continued to run because I went to Southern Games in Trinidad, I think on 2 occasions, and I represented Grenada at all of the all of the associated games, which I say that how you call them again? What you call the Windward Islands at that time? We were not individual nations yet, but statehood, the statehood games, which you rotate through the islands. So I moved out, represented in St. Vincent. Um, in fact, I went to St. Vincent on 2 occasions for different games, and also Southern Games in Trinidad.
Mhm. So that was then in terms of your track and field, and all of that is prior to 74, because you said in August, I think of 74, is it August or somewhere there you
Yeah.
migrated, and
Yes.
that appears to be seemingly the end of sporting exploits for Val, which should not have been. Guide us through the circumstances, leaving Grenada and what took place.
Well, for many reasons, let me back up a little bit. I was selected on the national soccer team to tour the US. So we came to New York and we played in New York. We played a couple games in Washington, D.C., and so forth. And most of us were looking to see if we could have gained some scholarships from colleges and so forth. So we were on a hunt for that. I don't recall if anyone had actually gotten that, but I didn't get that. However, I chose to stick around here. So I didn't go back with the team. What I did, I applied for student visa, and it was 123, and that was one of the best things that ever happened that I was able to get that because through that I went to college here. I also played local soccer here in Brooklyn. I represented Westbrook first, and then of course we had Dazzlers. Before Dazzlers, you had oh boy, Grenadines. We had a team called Grenadines, which comprised of most guys from Victoria Grove. So you look at Buck and those guys, tough team, Motel, um, oh boy, a slew of the top athletes, Ashley George, those guys. And what happened eventually was the league that we were in required that it's about time every team has coach coaches, in fact, because they stipulated that each team should have 2 coaches. So my team selected Eros Rapier and myself to go to Medgar Evers College to do that course, and we both did and qualified very highly. Um, because they give you like they call it down based on order of achievement, and we were both in the top 3 of the students, of the athletes or soccer players that took the course. So I've been a qualified, certified soccer coach And the year of that was what? I can't remember now. I have to look at it. I have it downstairs, but I felt good about that. I felt good. And I did some coaching. I helped out with the coaching of Dazzlers, who has a record when they had the United Nations had a league of all the islands, and not the islands only. There were other teams from different countries, some Spanish teams also. And Dazzlers have made us feel so good, so proud because I think they won that competition for about 12 times consecutively against and the teams were good. So I've helped with the coaching of that team and also of Westbrook.
But Val, it was difficult explaining and convincing some people that the Val Adams I was speaking about when I was promoting the program is the Val Adams that we are looking at here now, and it's the same Val Adams who, for some reason or the other, is a leading Calypsonian, you know,
I
and
tried, I tried a thing.
it's the same Val Adams who excelled in sports, track and field in particular, and played football at the youth level, etc., etc. So, Val, explain to those who look at how that Val Adams, who at the time Valentine Adams, sorry, who people knew as, and for those around your age group and time, knew competing in track and field and football, is the Val Adams that probably the younger generation will know as the Val Adams who is singing. I mean, talk us through the transition. I mean, how you were able to drop sports and onto the culture in terms of embracing calypso and singing in particular.
Well, that part, music was a thing that I started playing very young. I remember when I started, I took some bottles in the house. My father used to play a violin. My mother was the organist at our church, the St. Patrick's Anglican Church. And all of us, we were all so I was in the church and I see mommy playing, daddy playing. I just took on my own, not to say, well, I have to play something too, not even with that attitude. I was just experimenting and I filled up some bottles. The bottle with the most water would have the bass song like boom, and I form a scale by putting less water in each bottle. So I start with the boom and I put a little less in the other bottle, boom, until I know the scale because I know the do re mi. And then I took a pencil and didn't know that mom and dad were looking at me. 'Cause they were behind my back and looking at me. And I played the whole boom, 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 going, and I did it so many times that with no flaws. And then that same thing, and they were like amazed, you know. So I took it from there and continued playing. Then Albert started playing guitar. Here he comes again. Albert was so talented. Um, he taught me to play the guitar. So we played the guitar. He had one, I had one, and we used to practice and play music every night and sing songs that we heard on the radio. We listened to radios just for particular songs, new songs. At that time, we used to get a radio up in the Virgin Islands, ZBVI, that used to bring Beatles music and so on. So "Let It Be" was one of the favorite songs. The Jackson Five, Ben, um, and we just learned those songs by ear and did it well and sing it also, doing harmonies and everything. So Albert got into a band called Scotty and the Dynamos in Sates, and he started playing. The band was doing functions and so on. But I wasn't so, eager to be in a band as such. But one day, by the way, I also played, you know, try to play bass on the guitar, and just on the guitar with the bigger strings, the four big strings, and playing bass, picking bass for anything. And um, thank you, Jenny. I see Jenny Boker is saying good job. um, we continued, and Mr. Garrett sent to call me one day. So Alistair came down and said, "Hey Val, Daddy want to see you." I said, "What for?" He said, "I don't know." And he took me up to their home in La Tante, St. Patrick, and he spoke to me, brought me upstairs where they had a band room. I mean, instruments. They bought those instruments from a band from England, the Golden Astronauts, who were comprised of many Grenadians. And Mr. Guy had bought the equipment from them, Song City equipment, some good equipment. And he handed me the bass guitar, where I knew to myself that guitar is what I play better. And I was very good. But he handed me the bass guitar. And there we go. You see, that is yours. And Carson was there. Alistair was there. Alistair played a little guitar. Carson played a little guitar, but he used to play a little piano while he was in SAS. They all went to SAS. And we just started rehearsing just like that. And after about 2 months, we were able to play comfortably about 15 songs. And then Mr. Guy would say, guys, we have a band. We're starting a band. We're going to launch that band so and so date and so on. The band was launched. Estelle, one of Garrett's daughters, was the lead singer, and I was doing some of it too. Even, well, not lead. Well, we both did lead singing, and I tell you, it was just like a gift. The music just came along. We practiced a lot. I mean, practice really does bring perfect. Not that I was perfect, no one really is, but at the same time, I worked hard on doing that to sound better than anyone else that I know or anyone else around me. And we moved on and became one of the bands that you had to, deal with in Grenada. I remember Japel from Fantasies. Jeffrey Japel came up. His father and so were very close with Mr. Garrett. So he sees the opportunity. And on Saturdays, they will come up and do a rehearsal at our band room. And we would sit by and listen to them, learn a few things, and, chit chat a little. And we felt good about that. That one day around Christmas time, they invited us, Fantasies, invited us to play with alongside them at the den, the Lions Den by the prisons. And here we go. People, I remember some people say, "Where they get this little band from?" And it was a showdown up there because we played first. Paisadi, thank you. Paisadi saying, "Val, you're a national treasure." I appreciate that. Um, so we played at the Lions Den, and that was it. St. George's was open to the Gary and the Rhythmers experience. We came on there and we had the guys, Japel and the other guys from Fantasies, like, what? Because we had the place mashed up. We opened the floor, we opened the sessions, played first, and it was like crazy. We had them wondering what they should start off with, what type of music they should play. I mean, honestly, because the place was just jumping with the music that we played, and we felt really good. And that was the opening of a new era for me because the work keep coming in, and bookings keep coming in. We couldn't keep up with the bookings. Lions Den, you had the where it's called the ruins, the ruins, um, and we were just very busy. You know, we were very busy, and we kept that up until, of course, we grew older, and I had to leave. That's when I came up here with came up to New York with the soccer teams. So I had to leave, and
Val, I think we
I continuously. Yeah,
oh, I think we
I'm hearing you now.
right. We just lost a couple seconds there with you where you were saying that up to the point in time when you came up with the football team.
Okay,
Mhm.
right. Well, I came up in August, and the Depot reminded me of the two popular places in St. George's where we played all the time, almost every weekend. We in one of those venues. It was the Lions Den and Islander. Those two places were just jumping all weekend, every weekend. Anyway, coming up here, I was approached by Terrence Romney, who went to GBSS with me, but he came up here a bit long before me. When I came up, well, they knew the reputation that I guess, built at the time, and he got in touch with a couple of folks, young guys like my age or younger, and told me that he wanted to meet with me on one day and stuff. So I went over by him, and he had about 4 or 5 other guys there, and also Eugene Posu, who you would remember was our representative at the UN at one point. And they spoke to Eugene and asked for funding for equipment. That meeting was in February of 75, a little over 6 months that since I've been in the US. And, you know, almost immediately, Eugene said, okay, guys, I'll get you the equipment. In about a week, we had everything we needed. And I still say thank you to Eugene that we were able to form that band and allowed me to continue with the music. So the band was built surrounding me because most of the other guys didn't have the experience as I did, um, playing so consistently in Grenada. So the band was built around me, lead singing, and my main instrument in Grenada was the bass and lead vocals. But among the guys that were at that meeting, no one could have played keyboards. So I say, you know what? Since everybody's learning, I'm going to pick up the slack, and I'll try the keyboards. I'll go on there. I'll learn. And we persevered, went to classes, went to school. I went to Hunter College. We did a jazz program, which was a free program in Harlem for interested musicians, you know. And we went there every Saturday morning to get some education, some knowledge, reading, writing, and playing the music, and still come back and had a function on that Saturday night. So we persevered and came through as one of the top bands here in Brooklyn. At one point, we were the band that was selected to play. We were the ones that were called upon um, to 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 do the sound, to play for major functions here. We consistently had the support of the Trinidad organizations, which were many, um, and we were booked every weekend in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Boston. We would be at one of those places every weekend. And if it was New Jersey or Philadelphia, their limits in terms of time for a function at night, they couldn't go past 2 a.m. So we would finish that function, and believe it or not, New York was the city that never sleeps. Nowadays, it's a different story because the laws are changed and a lot of the places got shut down. But we would come from New Jersey or Philadelphia and hit back to Brooklyn and play at another function that we were booked for. But we were so highly recognized that it didn't matter to the people who was hiring us. You get back here about 3 o'clock, we set up. We had rehearsals of how fast we can set up because our on the equipment were set and um, marked out so that we don't have to guess how much tones. Even for some venues, we were able to have a setting for if we're playing at Flamingo, which was an all wood building, wood floor. There was a deep sound, heavy sound. When you play at Flamingo, you're getting the best sound you can get. Tops was another one, but the floor was good, but not as spongy, we call it, soft. So it absorbs the sound to make it really heavy. Um, we had settings for if we're playing in a wall, all concrete environment, because the sound is the same. I mean, is the sounds are different, so we can't use the same settings what we use for a wooden hall. We can't use that same setting for a wall environment. So we were able to capitalize on these practices so that when we would clash with another band, we know what we have to do to get the best setting there is. And I think we that gave us the opportunity to be booked so frequently, you know. And we were just we were just a band that the members right now that are still around, we sometimes reminisce and go back and say, boy, when we listen to music that we were playing at the time, we don't hear live bands playing that level of music, really. We select songs that are popular, but not the ones that's playing every day on the radio. Some we do, or we did, but we don't just select songs that is the hit songs on the radio or the stations playing them. I mean, it's a lot of them in that area, but we would select a couple of them, and the rest of it would be stuff that people don't hear frequently, but they're just as nice. So our selections were a mix of what we say the common music, which everybody expect to hear in a fete, and some again that's nice, but they don't play as often. So when we play those music and the way we play them, and and bring it to the audience, it's like wow. Most times we had people folding their arms once they call on us to play. People would come to the front and fold their arms just to admire us, a big crowd, they would not dance and just fold their arms and admire the songs that we play and the songs that we produce. I mean, my experience with Exodus, which was the name of the band, Exodus was a oh boy, a great experience for me. Professional sounds and songs that people can, like I said before, playing, people would just fold their arms and admire and listen to quality sound. Tone Tonality is something that we dwell on to make sure the quality of the song, nothing is bright. You can go up to the speakers or main speakers and you can stand there because it's not a speaker has too much highs or mids and it's blasting your ears out and so on. And we use surround sound. In those times, we didn't know they called it surround sounds because our main purpose was to fill the hall with music without turning your volume high up. So we had our main speakers up in the front with the band up there blasting towards the entire hall, and then we still had speakers in the back of the hall to create a balance so the sound come from everywhere, so that way the volume on our masterboard didn't have to be that high. That way you get better quality, because volume, when you want to fill a hall with music, a hall that is loaded and crowded and filled to capacity, it's hard to push the sound like that, but there is a way to do it. A lot of live bands would just drive their volume, drive their vocals high and stuff. No, the tonality, when you set that right, you don't have to exert that energy. I'll be singing and I'm far away from the mic, and the quality you would hear is like it's like a record. I mean, I can. speak loud about that because I'm proud of that. We brought quality music to our audiences, and the name of that band, people still talk about that band even if we not existing anymore. And the reason for not existing anymore is because as we grew older, this one got married, moved away from New York City, like Terrence, the founder of the band. That's my brother-in-law, by the way. Thanks to Denise, my wife, also, that we scattered a bit. Right now, we have three of us based in New York. One is Terrence is in Houston. Jerry Nicholson. We had Jerry Nicholson. Let me give you a rundown. The audience a rundown. They are um, onlookers here. Uh, you know, we had Terrence Ramney. He played trombone. We had Jerry and Richie Nicholson. Jerry was the drummer, very good drummer. Richie Nicholson, he's now a professor of music, teaches music at one of the colleges here. You have Joseph Forrester, the Kut Kut, like we call him, great bass player. These are original members. Myself, of course, we also had Sam, my brother, who came in. He couldn't stand it anymore to see me, the band song so good. He had to be a part of it. So I couldn't play trombone, but I gave him advice of how to play it. And Sam ended up starting to play trombone, did a couple classes himself to get to know the trombone and to play it properly. And then we incorporated that with some professional musician. We had Wayne Cobham. You heard of Billy Cobham, who was one of the number one, was rated as the number one drummer in the world at one point in time. Well, his brother Wayne Cobham played on several of Stevie Wonder's albums or songs. He was one of our trumpeters because we looked around for the best. He was one of our trumpeters, and we also, we with Sam and Terrence on trombone at different times. We had the we had to incorporate a couple of bring in a couple freelance musicians to fill the void so we can balance our horns and
Mhm.
make the music improve, make the you know expand on this on the quality of the sound and so forth.
What? So I listened to you, Val, and in one way, I you know, high in praise for you and your accomplishment in the music world. But on the other hand, I'm wondering, so music really took you away from sports eventually. Your love
I,
for the
I
music,
think,
even back home, took you away from sports, and sports became a casualty of the culture.
and I agree with that, and also to add, remember now, it didn't take long. It would have taken me longer to, let's say, attend a school or something where I can be more involved in track and so forth. Not many. I didn't really investigate if there were any track and field teams, local teams here or anything. Soccer, I explained the experience here with soccer, but athletics, no. And the music came immediately, less than 6 months since I mean, after I came up. So I jumped on that, and my concentration was there. So in that area, and I enjoyed it, so it didn't hurt me at all. I mean, I put all my efforts into it. So that's where it is.
At the time, any regrets? I mean, and
No, not at all, not at all, not at all. I mean, one of our proud moments also was when Calypso Rose won the road match in Trinidad with Queen of the Road, and when she came up here and she was introduced to us because we were the loudest name as a band here in Brooklyn, Caribbean band, and we when she got to us and at the rehearsals, she was so impressed that she said this is her band, she's not using anybody else once she in the United States. So we played for Calypso Rose for about 4 or 5 years consistently everywhere she goes. you know um she says that's her band. She looks out for us, make sure transportation is everything was down pack. Sometimes she would tell us at the hall, listen, my arrangement for you guys, you're my band. My arrangement with the promoters of the function, you don't strike a note until I get the balance of the money. They sent me a deposit, and you're not striking a note until I get the balance of the money. So that was her policy. We stuck to that. And once we got paid, play smash up.
So you became a professional, quote unquote, a professional musician, and you seemingly thought that sports at the time could not have make you that
No.
it could not have make you that quick bucks, and especially on the weekend.
Well, not just the box. You see, the love for it was there already. It was a ready-made,
Yeah, you came
a,
from Grenada with love,
a,
right?
yeah, a precursor. And there was no running away from it, none at all. So I was
And
saying
also had a
it.
support system for the music, for the arts, rather
Yes,
compared to sports, where it will probably take a while, as you said, probably to get into a school and to do
yeah,
what you have
yeah.
to do in terms of sports.
Yes, yes. And as you know, as I said, as I was at the point of telling you that how we happen to become non-existent is because of individuals moving to the various avenues. As you grow, things change. You have to do this, you have to do that. So that's what brought the end of the band. Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm seeing Tyron Shillingford, Tyron Lewis here. I say true, true. Tyron, I don't know, many people would be online listening to that. Tyron was our engineer. He was the man on the board. He would have everything marked out. The song that I was talking about, that when we go to a hall, we know exactly the setting on that mixing board, that 16 track board, with the exact setting on the board, the exact amount of volume on the amplifiers for that environment, and everything else. The equalization and the effects board, the effects amp, yeah, if you want to call that, the equalizer and the effects board, different settings that we have on there. So we sound the same. You hear us tonight in terms of quality and tone of sound, and you hear us tomorrow night. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's not to say the system ain't sound good tonight. What happened last night was so nice, and it ain't sounding as good tonight. None of that. We never encounter that because of how we took a pride in setting it right. And Tyron, kudos to you. We talk. Tyron is here in New York also, and we talk about these things every day. You know.
Have you ever considered, Val, what it would be like for Val? What Val would have been like if it wasn't for one sports, and then, well, on one hand, sports, and on the other hand, your love for music and culture. And as Robert Phillip explained, you were not just a calypsonian, you were a musician, a composer, a writer. You were probably everything that it takes to be successful in music. If it wasn't for that, well, sports on one hand and the music, what Valentine Adams would have been like today? Have you ever sit down and consider such?
Well, the thing is, I always thought that education is the key to everything. So with all of that, I went to college here and I did accounting, and that's where um, one of my achievements. I came out there uh, with a bachelor's. I worked with the AP as the assistant credit manager there for 24 years. Um, and I guess I can't say anything negative about the education, but that would have been where I went, and that's what I did. Anything else other than athletics, soccer, music would have been to educate myself so I can feel proud. The music will make you proud, but those qualifications, nothing beats it. You know you are somebody when you get to that point. You feel good. You know what I'm saying?
I recall you mentioned about the AP. I recall when I was working for AP as well, and
I
I
remember you approached me one time. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, my bureau was in San Juan, and I someone told me that there's a Grenadian who is actually working in headquarters, in New York, but I think at the time it was Val was dealing mainly with the big corporate bodies, like
Mm-mm.
ABC and NBC and the big fellas.
Well,
You were not dealing with me at the time. I was a small fry. I
well,
My headquarters was in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and you are dealing with the corporate guys in terms of who have to pay AP the big money,
yeah, well, good thing you mentioned that because remember I told you we encountered each other
Yeah,
and we met and so on, and you say, well, how can I get some news for I'm in charge of certain whatever. I don't remember the wording and the phrase you used to identify what you do and so on, but I know you were a news person from Grenada and so on, and wanted to know how could you get so and so news, on a regular basis. And I did explain it to you to an extent, the different programs and so on. I remember that precisely. I mean, but I handled the major networks, the NBCs, the Fox, the CNN, and so on. And and I was responsible. I was the assistant credit manager, and my responsibility were the big networks, and what I mean, one Fox check alone was $15.5 million, and three people had to sign that at Fox, and so on. And those folks, you have to have, that's where education comes in. You have to have the rapport to be able to communicate with those folks at that level. You're dealing with $15 million a month, and you need to know that that money can come into your company's bank account, because interest on that would could pay about half the employees. You know what I mean? So I need that on the first of the month. So I created a rapport whereby it don't be late, never be late. Sometimes on a Friday, the rapport is so good, these guys would call me and say, "Hey Val, what you doing this evening? You're going home straight? Let's go have some beers, man." And you're there, hang out with those guys for a little hour, drink some beers at a pub in the city, and so on, and chit chat. So it makes it so easy when you communicate with them on the business level that hey, you guys have the thing ready. You guys have the stuff ready, like a week before. You're making sure at least the check is signed. It's just drop in the mail. So so yes, that was my responsibility, and it became so easy for me.
yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Val, I know we started off, and that was the theme of our discussion in terms of, you know, your involvement in sports at an early age, and then yes, CARIFTA Games being among the first to win a medal for Grenada, albeit high jump took place early enough. So
Yeah.
you got the bronze medal very early, but you're among the first Grenadians to win medals for the CARIFTA Games. And then after that, and by the way, that to a lot of people was kind of, surprising, because a lot of people didn't know that the Val Adams we are looking at there was a Val Adams who was an athlete himself and a footballer himself, and represented Grenada. But then you made that transition from sports to culture, and most times people there's this, there is this relationship between sports and culture, even at the ministerial level, most times sports and
Exactly.
culture. And you find a
Yes.
lot of sportsmen and sportswomen have some bearing to do with cultures.
Culture. Yeah.
Case in, for example, if you live in River Road, if you lived in on the Caranage, if you live in the Tantine area, if you live in St. Paul's, these sort of areas, there is this kind of marriage between sports and culture.
Yeah.
But I was reading some of the comments, because there's a ongoing discussion that is going on with yourself being involved in the culture, and there's a silent appeal or call for Val probably to return to the big stage. I know we spoke about that, Val. You have very patriotic, and as you indicated, out of the 40 odd years you have been living out here, you probably would have missed going to Grenada probably on an annual basis, probably about 6 or 7 times. It means that you religiously have been going back to Grenada, especially for whether it's independence or the
Carnival.
carnival activities to participate. Um, you know, tell me about what it is, Val, that have I mean, being so patriotic. And as my you know investigations turned out that over this period of time, except for Grand Cap Awards in 2016, 2015, 2016, you have probably never been recognized for your contribution to the art form over these years. But what it is have been keeping Val going.
Well, life is a funny. You have your pros, your cons, and you have accessibility to various things, l- but not for others. And another item, I would call it, most people are not aware of. I introduced the shortney. I got into mass now, and I introduced the shortney to New York in 1993. A band of 30, 40 shortney in Grenada would be a big band because shortney plays stretched out. But in New York here, we had 186. And when we stretched out that band, we not blocking traffic like a regular float or a truck. We would have stretched out that band, and people would always in their windows, they hear in the and that made me proud that we're showing them the culture. And of course, we're flying the flag. So I introduced that, and then it started spreading to Washington, D.C., Boston, and other places. I think we have some in Virginia now, or Atlanta Carnival. But we did the shortening, and then I came out. We didn't get to the judges that year. That was in '93. I took a break, and I decided in '93 that you know what. Apart from no, let me back up. In '86, in fact, in '78, we did a Christmas album called "Christmas in the Caribbean" with Val Adams and Exodus. We have a medley on there that a lot of people and I mean still enjoy today. And then I did solo with Jackie in the Party in '86, and that song sounds slow today, but that was a hot song for the road. In fact, in those times, I was told that road match was judges. They were judging points for road match and all of that. And Specky, we were hanging out on Carnival Tuesday, and he said, "Boy, let's go in town. Let's jump on the trucks and so on, so that the music will get popular." There we go again, and I'm a friend and student, I would say, because he told me let's go down, but I felt lazy and I didn't go to St. George's on Tuesday evening for last lap Tuesday night and stuff, transport and all of that. But anyway, um, I did that recording Jackie in the Party, took a little break and came back in '93 and did Jackie on the road and still hitting on the radio stations and the DJs. So that music was a kicker. And I continued recording and so on. In fact, when I did Boom C and I did a song called The Same Stone, I was a standby for the Mashgra. And I didn't mind it. I still performed that night, stand by and getting anything unless somebody dropped out and they have a shot at winning something or being on the podium. But I enjoyed that, and I continued to write and do the best I could in writing. And a lot of my songs, being that I competed in the independence competition here and won a couple of times. In fact, I won three occasions. Um, I just continue writing. And I wrote for Inspector himself, Specky. I wrote for Lady Mac, Super Terry, Buddy, and some other artists around. So I continue to write. In fact, I'm in the process of doing some for a few folks. I won't call names yet, but you know, I do
Well,
that.
well,
You
well,
talk, let me make this point before I forgot. You mentioned about I'm not recognized by many for my contribution to the culture, but one of oh God, there's so many things that I could talk about. I was so surprised when I got a call from New York City Hall, and they called me and emailed me because the time was getting close. Like the vote probably came in late or whatever, or the decision was made late. The month of June is recognized here as Caribbean Heritage Month. And I was called, I can't remember the year now. I was called and sent an email asking if I would accept an award from City Hall for my contribution to the culture of New York City. And it's a city, it's diverse culturally city in the world. And for me to get a call um, asking if I would accept that, well, of course, hell yes, you know. So I was honored by the city of New York for my contribution to the culture of New York. Most of the other folks, it was only 10 people honored, and most of the other folks were doctors, people who do experiments and so forth. They got the highest honor from the city, which is the proclamation. That one, I'm highly elated
I
by
think we having a
that.
little, we having
What
another.
do I do? City Hall, doing this dialogue.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you are referring to
Yeah.
the award by City Hall, right? Um,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I'm saying there. You're getting me now better.
Yes, yes, you do. Mhm. Yeah, we hearing
So
you
I was
better.
saying that there are lots that people are not aware of, and it's like difficult to how do you bring that out? So I'm happy to be on here. I guess you have to pay overtime for this flick here. But I'm happy to be here so that people can hear me direct one-on-one of these things. They know, what I've achieved and so on. I mean, I know the Canadians here, my nationals here in the diaspora, Toronto, Montreal, Boston, New Jersey, Miami, all the eastern states. I'm pretty well known, and I'm happy for the respect and so that I get back from my people. I'm proud of them and I love them. That without that support, you should feel proud about it. And I'm proud that I got these things. I achieved quite a bit, and I'm happy to. I don't want to finish. I'm happy to let people know more about Val Adams. And I love my country, my Grenada. I fly the flag. I used to send and still do flags because the flags are rampant in New York City. but London doesn't have a supply like that. I send dozens of the big flags and the medium-sized flags to London every year, um, and they depend on me for that. So and I've traveled to London, by the way, in my experience, many times. Especially when I went up there when I Boomsy was mashing the place up. I went up there. I went there so many times that I basically stopped going there for a little while because I didn't want to, have the people feeling, I'm becoming monotonous now too frequently and so on. I did that with Toronto too, but I've been there with the Mighty Sparrow about 4 times. I play keyboards with the Troubadours when I'm on a show with the Mighty Sparrow, so that he doesn't have to carry 2 keyboards, and I always would perform right before him, so that way at my last song I would do the introduction, bring him on stage, and I would back up and go and play the keyboard, and the other guy on keyboard would leave, and so on. So a lot of experience and so on. So I'm happy to be. And by the way, the Mighty Sparrow, I speak to him at least probably once every other week. He calls me, "Hey, brother Val, what's going on, brother? What's going on, son?" He's doing well, by the way, as an honorary Grenadian. I must say that he has been a very big uh, plus for to be a friend of mine now. Um, he treats me like a son.
Mhm. All right. Okay. Well, it's interesting, because I want for us to as we sort of wrap up the program, but I want to put in a nutshell, and then you'll come back because I want you to take a bow,
Ah,
and remember that song as well. Take a bow, okay?
yeah,
To me, one of my favorites, but
yeah.
um, so Val, you were a certified and licensed football coach here in New York, right?
Yeah,
Um, and in addition to that, you captain the Grenada under 19 football team. You played well, you represented GBSS and Grenada in both football and athletics. One of 2 athletes who have won the Victor Ludorum at GBSS on 3 occasions. Represented Grenada at the CARIFTA
yep.
Games at Southern Games and won Grenada's first medal at the CARIFTA Games in Barbados in 1972. But in addition to those sporting exploits, if I may just briefly mention, um, founder and leader of the former Grenadian musical band in Brooklyn, New York, Val Adams and Exodus, founder and leader of the Grenadian Calypso Tent in New York, House of Fire, sponsored the
Absolutely.
official Calypso judges in Grenada to travel to New York for judging the House of Fire Calypso Tent. Grenada Calypso semi-finalists on numerous occasions, about 7 or so.
Yeah,
Calypso finalists on 5 or so occasions. Grenada Calypso third place finish on 2 occasions. Grenada Soca Monarch finalists on 3 occasions. 3 times Grenada New York Independence Monarch. Um, and you also the producer of the Grenada New York Independence Monarch competition. Um, as well, as an indicator just earlier, awarded the New York City Proclamation at the New York City Hall for your cultural contribution to New York City, and in 2013, you were the recipient of the Grand Cap Awards, among others. But I'm still not seeing anything from Grenada, from mainland.
well, well, to add to that, remember now, I went into mass, like I was saying, and we were the first band to win any first place position in 3 consecutive years for the entire Labor Day parade, from its onset. So we won the Band of the Year small band category, which is 150 and under, and we always were around 150. A couple of times we had more than that, but you could get away with that. But we won that in 2013, 14, and 2015. Band
Mhm,
of the Year on the Parkway.
mhm. All right. Well, Val, I really thank you for being part of the program. Though we had a little technical hitch
Yeah,
at
I'm sorry about that,
at the
man.
start. We do understand. We had to stick it because I know you will get in and you had something to talk about, and I glad to know that you were able to explain to folks what it was like then and what it is like now for you, even though you indicated you battling your own health issue. But I wish you all the
I'm
best.
coming on. I'm
You come
coming
back.
on. I'm coming on.
That's good to know. And
And I'll be back. I'll be back. You talk about people missing me. Well, I know a lot of guys get nervous when I'm in competition, but that's the way it is because I'm coming with ammunition, and I dwell on my lyrics and my melody, the two top categories, 30 points each in competition. So I'm not playing with that. That's not a game for me.
so, are you indicating, Val, that you are preparing to come back and come back seriously?
Absolutely. I'm
And
I'm not I'm not laughing.
okay, you're smiling then. All right. Well, here's a challenge for you. Toro has just set a challenge for you.
Oh, no, no, no! Don't do that to me, man. I don't have that at hand.
All right. But no, but
Oh my God. I don't feel bad though. I don't feel bad. I respect that. I mean, that's something I need to have under my wing, but I want to change a version of it. You see how I do it in the college football games and stuff, and they sing the what you call that now. Anyway, at the games, and each team sing their songs and thing. I want to do that and get the authority to change the rhythm of it, to put some vibes into it. Not like a calypso as such, but a little vibes into it. Hey, Depredine. Oh my goodness, you put me on the spot. All's good though.
before we go though, just for clarity, how many musical instruments you can play?
Guitar, bass, keyboard, a little touch of trombone, and a little bit of drums too. I mean, I can play it, you know. I don't sit and play in a band with it, but I can play them.
Can you play pan?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I forgot. I could play some pan. I could play some pan. Yeah, I could play some pan. I used to play some pan in Satés. There was a little band up there, and I used to play with them.
Well, here is a challenge for you from Clev.
Yeah, Depo,
Yes.
Depo. He said, wishing you the best. Have a peace. I would like to put. Okay, okay. Anytime, anytime, anytime.
Okay.
That's my boy, man. He remember me with Angel Haps, which was my band, and oh man, I used to enjoy that, and that's where we really met. We met because we worked at the telephone exchange in St.
Yeah,
George's
I think you
for yeah, for a while.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think you mentioned
uh,
that a bit earlier that you
yeah,
guys were
Depo was very
uh,
close, very close.
at what they call the test desk.
Oh yes, oh yes. Don't go into details over that.
Right. But I think just mentioning that on the program itself is creating a lot of excitement. And as Robert Phillip is saying, your return will be epic. And I think folks are looking forward to you returning to the big stage. And I guess as much you can say it loud and clear once again that you will be back in 2021.
I really, it's part of me, um, and I miss it. And with all the experience I've had, there are people who still say, "Boy, they really ain't treat you nice." When I did Rise Up at Tantine, that competition was, and one was at Queens Park, I think. And they thought I should have won and so on. But I just take that with a grain of salt. Competition is competition, and you could blame the judges how much you want, but I don't really dwell on that. It's done, it's done. But I know what I would bring to the stage would be of quality. Um, it's like a book. Sometimes I would start a song, and you would notice my first verse, you probably wouldn't even get the story. So I have to pull you into my stories and let you understand it the way you would read a book and get to a climax. when you get to the end. So it's something that I love. I thank God to get to be given the ability to do that. And remember back home in those days, in the early times, we had no teachers to teach us that, So it comes when you have it natural like that, it's a gift, God-given gift. And we have to cherish that. So I would not walk away from a God-given gift that I'm possessed with, So yes, indeed, 2021, God give me life and strength. 2021, folks will hear from me.
Okay, we got it loud and clear. And if we can just take a couple comments just before we uh, leave, but I think this is an interesting one. Toro asking you to do a little work on the national anthem, add some variety to the music. The song is
Okay. Yeah.
no too flat, and I think is it's something that you will consider.
Once I can get the authority and the freedom to do that, of course, I wouldn't touch it without getting the
Permission.
legal
Yeah.
permission to do so.
Okay. Well, it's something that you can probably pursue. Probably Toro could do it on his behalf, on your behalf. Sorry, I think like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
Depot, thank you. I seen you.
Yeah. So
You know how it comes. I feel open for challenge in singing any day, Depot. You know
mhm.
that. I feel open for anyone who want to. Well, I bring it like that. It's in me. So you're gonna, voice, vocal ability. I know what I got. I know what I have. I will cherish it, take care of it, and trying to improve every day, every night.
Okay then. Well, on behalf of all those who didn't know, I want to um, congratulate you on your achievements in sports back then and what you have accomplished in culture thus far. And I wish you all the best, including your health. Glad to know that you're coming through and you're looking forward to 2021, that where you, as you indicated, you'll be back in full glory. And I think it's something that the art form is dying for in terms of, you know, um, bringing back the true art form, as they should say. As I said,
Mhm.
my favorite, my no bias though, is Take a Bow, because I think yourself and folks like Randy Isaac have given quite a lot in terms of patriotic songs that I think a lot of Grenadians sometimes would reflect on, especially when it comes. I don't think there will be an independence celebration where a song from Val Adams is not played. So
and there are many,
that's what the
Yeah,
repertoire. The repertoire
yeah,
is
yeah.
is humongous in that you can go in and decide which one should I play from Val Adams, because of the patriotic nature of it. So thanks
Thank
once
you.
again, Val, and I still hoping that someday you can sit back and reflect and say, Val, what it is I could have done a little more in sports. What it
You're
is
right.
a little more.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely correct about that because that I go back again to say that when you train hard, you work hard. I mean, I even want to come home at one point. I mean, God give me time and so on. I mean, I'd be able to run the field like them because I still have a little limp on my left side, from that stroke that I had. But I mean, I always say to myself, and I tell my family that I wish I can go home and coach a team, be it soccer or athletic team, because I think I have a lot to offer there. I think I have a lot to offer in soccer and track or sports, like we call it. And I wish I can see that day coming true.
Mhm. Okay, well, hopefully, you will grant your wish. I'm still
You
hoping that.
granting me?
Well, no, not me.
I wish it was so easy, but hey, you never know, man. Persevere, and you may get the one way may get the opportunity to to be happy that he accomplished his goals.
Mhm. And now that you're fully retired, right? So that you have the
Yes,
time,
yes,
you have the time.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, what I can say, happy retirement. Enjoy it. You have worked hard enough. And all the best, and continue and be part of the program. I think we have some more interesting folks line up coming up in the next few weeks. Some that
Okay,
you'll be able to relate to. Some of the folks you will be able to relate to, and I know
okay.
it will jock your mind, your mind as to certain things, probably certain things you might have missed out, and certain things that you probably might be able to recall.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
so thanks once again, Val.
And hey, it was a pleasure having me here, and for all the people who tuned in. I hope you learned some new things about me. Good thing comes in small package. I'm only one person, but I've done a lot of little things. I'm aware of that I've really put out a lot and done a lot, but I don't even look at it. Some things I don't even remember about them, but people remember. So the good you do comes back to follow you. I always believe that. The negative will strike you down, but the good things people will get to know. And I'm glad that this is a program that I was able to bring forth some of my accomplishments. And I'm I hope my people home can feel proud as a Grenadian that I've done that much and
Okay.
contributed.
Okay then. Thank you very much.
All right, we said thank you about 10 times already, but
I know, and I'm saying thank you now to the folks, the usual suspects, Toro and
Oh
Claire.
yeah, my boys and them.
Um,
Toro, what's happening? I know you're there. I seen you post a little while ago, but hey, those guys, I haven't seen those guys in ages or even heard from them. Depo, I see now and again, but those were my buddies. I mean, my good buddies.
yeah, and I
And
think a lot of folks would have been happy to see you. And because of the pandemic, that would have curtailed, traveling and being in the company of others and thing. I think this was a nice opportunity for folks to see you, and I think from what they're saying, Val is looking good.
yeah, thank you. I feel good too. Trust me, I feel very good. I've always lived a healthy life. Eat well, balanced diet. I love my greens and I love my meat like everybody else. Pork, chicken, beef, everything. But yeah, I live good. I feel good, and I take care of myself. Take care of
Okay,
myself.
right. So thanks very much. And once again to all our folks, Pat and Twit and Denise,
Yeah,
Tyrone.
yeah, Pat, Denise, everybody, thank you for coming on. Twit,
Right.
of course.
Yeah,
Depot,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
crew, Toro, and oh my God, it's so long I didn't even get a little something from these guys.
All right then. Thank you very much.
All
Okay.
right, take care, guys.
All right then. Bye. Okay then. So that was Val. Val is having a wonderful time. It's almost as if he's back on the stage. Yeah. So thank you once again, folks. Robert, Philip, and Toro and Goti Robertson, thank you for linking up, man. It has been quite a while. Jerry Nicholson, Pat, you have been wonderful in terms of some of the information you provided all along, and the usual, Clef, Dominic Patrice, who was on earlier. Thank you very much once again for all your comments and interesting, you know, information that you provided. And Val, it's interesting because when I mentioned Val, there were folks who were actually doubting whether it's the Val Adams that they know about. Are you speaking about the Val Adams that's the singer? And I had to say yes, what it is. I say, well, you sure about that? And it's like almost as if someone trying to correct me and say, no, you're probably talking about someone else. I said, no, Val Adams, yeah, Val Adams. So when you see those guys there, and Val as a recognized singer singing all over and things like that. So, I mean, and by the way, I mentioned certain things there and I didn't go through the long list. It would have been too boring for you. But there's a long list of accomplishments of this guy as a musician and arranger, songwriter. I mean, going back to all the places that he had toured and, you know, these sort of things. I mean, he's a guy who accomplished quite a bit. And if you speak to him in person, you'll get to know a lot. He's not the person who will just open out and just, you know, talk about where he went to and this, that, and the other. You have to get him into a conversation, and you know, like what we did there. And it's interesting that he has accomplished quite a lot. You go into Val's repertoire. I mean, hits after hits. I mean, he mentioned a few, the Bumpsy and you know, and others. And I mean, I saw some all way back from Gentle Ben and you know, playing in live band. And I mean, Christmas. I mean, Val has quite a bit on Christmas and thing. You know, I think Toro is trying to get him into singing a few, probably starting with the GBSS school song, but Val kind of chicken out. But thank you once again, folks, and it's our pleasure. And join us on Thursday. We have another program, the shortened version of our Talk Sports on Thursday. And then on Saturday, we have a program on Saturday. And I can tell you now, it will be a female. It will be a female. We'll confirm during the week who the female is. But it will be a female, and it should be another interesting, because you will want to know how and when. Your questions will be how and when. And if some people may, well, the usual suspects like the Clev and others may probably be able to recollect and say, oh, yeah, you know. But in the average person may not be able, may not recall, may not remember that this person excelled in sports, represented Grenada many years ago, and probably not who you may be thinking about now, but it's a surprise name for you. In the week, we'll get that. Thank you once again, folks, and join us again on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. and then next Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, God's willing. We'll have another very important program. All the best, and ciao.